Hi everyone, Sorthany Throat Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Loma Prieta record, Self-Portrait. Hey, I have something really cool to show you. Come on over here. Right there. Look at him. Hey little alligator friend, don't bite my finger! Ow! I think I'm going crazy. Loma Prieta is a San Francisco screamo and post-hardcore band who I stumbled upon back in 2012 with their full-length album IV, one of my favorite albums of that year. Not only a fantastic screamo and hardcore punk record, but also one of the most cacophonous, abrasive, and unforgiving rock albums of that year. It was absolutely destructive, and I was wondering if on this new album over here they would serve up what was essentially another whirlwind of horror. However, I was noticing that the teaser tracks leading up to the release of this album were not as abrasive, a little more melodic. Seemed like some of the instrumentation in the mix and the recording was certainly clearer. And overall, this new album over here is not nearly as relentless and as unforgiving as Loma Prieta's previous work. There's actually quite a bit of balance between the cleaner sounds in the mix here and the more distorted sounds. A lot of the bass and the drums have quite a bit of resonance, while the guitars and the vocals, especially the vocals, are very fuzzed out, they're very distorted, they're very rough. And there are actually some more melodic passages worked into these songs through the guitars and through the vocals, more than I think anyone who enjoyed Loma Prieta's last album would have expected, which is kind of a tune I feel like I've been singing a lot lately with the new Deaf Heaven album, with the new Black Breath album. However, I don't feel like these more melodic passages actually weaken this new album in any way. The more melodic bits of these songs actually don't take away from the intensity and the potency of Loma Prieta's energy. There are tons of throttling melodic punk instrumentals all over this record. I think the opener is slightly drab with its kind of tedious, very dreary melodies, but I love the song Black Square, where the band transitions one time after another from these dissonant guitar chords to these descending, spiraling riffs that are slathered in distortion. There's just a ton of momentum behind this track. It's pretty overpowering and seems kind of Converge inspired. Or with the track Roadside Cross, I love the harmonious guitar passages that the band busts into on a few occasions on this track. Loma Prieta has become just noticeably sweeter on this project. Give a listen to the closing track on this thing, where you're actually getting some shouted, kind of bright vocal harmonies, a sort of warm moment on the album just before, a lot like on the band's last album, this song sort of descends into this wall of distortion that just smothers the entire mix and kind of closes the track out. So even though the mix on this record is cleaner, noise still plays a pretty integral role in Loma Prieta's sound. And even though I like the vocal harmonies, I like the melodies on this closing track, I think this song could have been better, and some of the other tracks on here too. I guess it's because I wish the vocals were louder. I wish they were cleaner. I get that noise is an important part of this band's formula, but I feel like the vocals are just too obscure to really connect with them in any significant way. The vocals often are so quiet, they're overpowered by the guitars, they're barely even readable, which I guess wasn't really an issue when everything in the mix was slathered in some kind of distortion, but now the vocals just kind of feel a little out of place against these very resonant drums, bass, and guitars. And these vocals feeling so out of place, I think, takes away from the impact of some of the best tunes on this record, like the song More Perfect, where there's a really great vocal line. And even on tracks where the vocals feel like they have slightly more presence, like on the song Nostalgia, it's almost as if I'm hearing some kind of wall between me and the vocals that just isn't there with the other instruments. These distortion effects and this very quiet mixing on the vocals actually just impact them to the point where on the song Never Remember, ironically, they make the vocals way less memorable. However, when I listen in very closely to a lot of the melodic ideas that the vocals are bringing forward, they're actually not that bad. And again, I like a lot of the instrumentals on this record. Actually, I think they're great. I think the performances throughout this album are electrifying and just very high intensity. The production, when not looking at the vocals, just observing the bass and the guitars and all that, is great. I think the songs are certainly there on this record, and Song structure-wise, Loma Prieta, I think, are coming together with some of their most ambitious tracks yet. However, it's just that vocal mix that I think kills a lot of these songs, just the vocals having no presence whatsoever because they're so distorted, they're so quiet throughout much of these tracks. And I think in the midst of transitioning to a new sound, Loma Prieta has lost maybe just a smidge of identity. However, with some bolder, louder, more tangible vocals, maybe that could be fixed. Maybe that can be changed. I am liking this album quite a bit, though, despite my one major issue with one single aspect of it, really. I'm feeling a light 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Loma Prieta, forever.